Welcome to Julie Laughton Living, featuring engaging conversations on creating the life, business, and luxury home of your dreams. With over 30 years of experience in the design build industry, Julie has completed over 1,000 remodels and custom homes in Southern California and provides architecture, design, engineering, and general contracting as a unique one-stop shop for her clients. Let's join the conversation now. Julie, welcome back to the show. It's great to be with you today.
Thanks, David. Great to be here.
Okay, we're talking about women in construction in this episode. And for some people, that could just sound outlandish. Women in construction, what is this? Is this even possible? I've only seen men working in construction. So one, I guess I would even want to start off with, how common are women in the whole world of architecture, design, and construction?
Well, the women are still a minority, and I think the percentage in construction is possibly 14%. I just looked at something the other day, but it's low, and it's changing, but it'll take a long time before it would be female dominated. That's for sure.
But that's one of the reasons why we're talking about this, is because we want to see that number increase, of course, to beyond 14%. We want to see it climbing.
Yes.
You have been in this world, in this industry for over 30 years. What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a woman in a primarily male-dominated industry?
Well, as a woman in a male-dominated industry, they're like, well, what are you doing here? And why are you here? And do you even know what you're talking about? All that stuff. So it's, because I was born in 1962, and they didn't even make rules for women to survive the office until the 70s. So the work environment. So I have seen it all and witnessed the horrible things that can happen with an unchecked environment. But now it's great. But for some reason, women never thought of being in construction, because I think they really didn't feel comfortable. And a lot of people think construction means strapping on a tool belt and breaking your back. So it isn't, but they're definitely it's changed, but women are just getting started.
So one of the challenges that I heard you say is that people would have a perception that a woman doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't know about anything in construction. Have you had, well, I shouldn't say have you. Tell me about some experiences when people have assumed that you didn't know anything. Any humorous or challenging experiences?
Well, I mean, when I was in the beginning, when I was in my 20s, I was in the architectural side of it. So they were very respectful, but they didn't dare talk to me about the construction or the construction language. And we both all stayed in our own lane. But when I became a contractor in the beginning, the sub would just look at me, or the guy I was about ready to work with, and just look at me like, really? And then they would ask questions and try to trick me, ask trick questions. And of course I knew more than they did already, but I was constantly challenged. Yeah, it was funny. And a little bit of weird disrespect, because some of them are a little weird, but yeah.
Oh, talk to me about the issues regarding um, objectification of women or sexuality in terms of that environment in the construction world. I think that there is a bit of perception that kind of the construction environment is not necessarily a respectful place for women, to say the least. How have you dealt with that over the years in terms of, I don't know, whether it's catcalling or inappropriate comments or, objectification? How have you navigated that world?
Well, first of all, I'm the boss, so it's easy. But in the beginning, when I was a young girl in New York City, I would show up in a skirt and heels because it was the 80s, and it was constantly catcalls. So I just quietly say thank you, but I try not to react or respond, because I'm just, what's this chick doing in the job site running around in heels? Because that's just how we dressed back then. But it was technically harmless. But if I was their boss, they would never do it. But it was open game back then, and it's just the way it was. And but I handle it seriously, because I am the boss, so I take it very serious, because I am tall, 6 foot. 6 foot in heels, and I have a figure, so I purposely down dress. I downplay. I do not wear makeup. I dress responsibly, And I don't let any femininity or sexuality come into the picture because it's your mindset. So I control that and it makes everybody more comfortable. So that's what I do consciously and subconsciously. I don't bring that into the table and or let that confuse the atmosphere. So I'm very strong opinionated about how you should look and dress and your attitude because construction's a serious business, and when you know what you're doing, it's serious. The construction site is all business, so it's not what you think. It's all business, and people are very respectful because you have to work with each other. It's teamwork. It's mandatory. Mm.
I know one of the conversations that we've had in the past where you've talked about some females will utilize their femininity to, uh, I don't know, somehow gain a different perspective among men, and they'll undo their blouse on the way to the construction site. Or what is your perspective on using sexuality in that way?
Well, it's stupid, and you will automatically not be respected, and people can't listen to you or pay attention to you if you're dressed scantily or you're purposely showing your chest off or whatever you're doing. But it's not appropriate, and people won't take you serious, and and then you'll be thought of horribly, and it makes a dangerous situation. But if you're dressed like a prostitute, no one's going to take you serious. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't care who you are. So you have to be careful how you present yourself. And if you use sexuality, it shows your mind is weak and you're trying to trick somebody into listening to you or trick. So you're not using your brain. And I find that sad. I have a very strong opinion about, how I look and how women look in general and what they do to accomplish attention. And I'm not a fan of people that are scantily clad. So, I don't get it.
So you don't let the men on your construction site go shirtless all the time?
That's funny, but no, of course not, and they have to be dressed appropriately and safely, and, it would be disgusting to even think about that, and, it's just not right. But, in the '70s and '80s, all the guys on construction sites were wearing short shorts because that was the style, and no shirts because there was no OSHA. And you could get a tan and drink beer when you're doing framing. Oh my God, life of luxury in construction in the '70s.
Things are a little different now.
Yeah.
So what
Mm.
would you say would be the benefits to the industry and ultimately to the client if more women were involved in the design, architecture, and construction parts of the business?
Well, the value women bring is the organizational multitasking skill. And I'm not saying men can't do it because there are great construction contractors and construction management leaders and men, of course, and engineers and architects, but those fields are normally predominantly male. But the women bring the multitasking organizational skill to the table. And a woman might be a softer approach to problem solving or not be getting in your face and maybe looking for solutions instead of confrontation. So I know that, a woman is less likely to, let's say, bully or confront or just, push people around maybe. I mean, it's a personality difference between men and women. It's everybody has to be separated according to their personality, not their sex, but their women could maybe bring that analytical problem solving multitasking aspect, and that's why women make good project managers and good construction managers because we are technically, they say, better multitaskers. I don't know, that's what they say.
Yeah, this is a unique conversation because oftentimes in our culture, we have wanted to create equality of men and women, of course, which is without a doubt true. And yet there are some uniquenesses that tend to present themselves in the different genders. And so what I'm hearing you say is that one of those uniquenesses is maybe a softer approach to problem solving, maybe definitely more multitasking, able to come up with solutions in a different way. I also heard you say that it really depends also not just on your gender, but on your personality type.
Oh yeah, you got to know your personality type, and if you don't have patience and you're not good at organization and making lists and you have to have a certain personality to be in construction or project management or design, because design's the artist, right? But project management and construction, that's a grind all day long. And you got to be good at talking to people, negotiating with people, be patient, and be able to manage people and basically demand things without bugging people. But you're basically a taskmaster all day long, and you got to know how to develop relationships, because you don't want people hating you because you're calling them.
Yeah,
'Cause
because
that's
you're
what
going to keep calling them.
yeah, and that's because that's your job.
Yeah. Can you talk about a particular project that you worked on out of the thousand remodels and custom homes that you've built that you feel like, boy, in this particular situation, because I was a woman, I think things went better for me on that project, just not only because of my personality, but because of my gender.
Well, I have some stories, and one or two come to mind where the husband and wife are having trouble making decisions, and all of a sudden I become the mediator. So they're both talking to me behind each other's back, and then they're both complaining or possibly arguing in front of me. So when I become kind of the soft but strong person in the middle, I always call me Austria, but I get in the middle, and it's easier for people to talk to a woman than a man. I think about their problems. And these are problems of what color are the walls, and are we going to spend, and what room what are we going to add on, and what we're going to cut back. So I do think it's easier for some reason for clients to talk to a woman about issues or concerns, because it gets pretty heavy and emotional in there. And I make a good sounding board because my other asset is listening, and I usually have the answer, because I'm like a little, designers and architects, we're almost like a little house therapist, because we got to pick their brain, the client's brain, of what they want, and then analyze it so it fits best designed for them. So it's a whole process of analyzing thoughts and mediating between two. So that's where it comes in handy to be a woman, because women like to talk to women, so do men, because it's calming. So
Like a house therapist. Look at you.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like a life coach for a life coach, what I call it, a remodel coach or a custom home coach, because you got to coach people through the process, because they don't know the answers, and they have them. There's like 1,000 decisions, and they don't know the answer. So you got to help them weigh the decision so they can make a good decision. And it goes
Hmm.
on all through the project.
Hmm. Have you found that there are male clients now? They have hired you. Obviously, you became their contractor or designer, but they then were second guessing you along the way because you were a woman, or did you find no, they hired me because they believe in me and we're good to go?
Well, I have a couple of young clients, sometimes that are even older ones, but I have male clients that'll go ask anybody before they ask me an opinion, because I'm not a man. So I've had that happen from some day one. They'll always ask someone else, that one of their buddies, even if they don't have the expertise, because I think they're afraid to ask the question, because they'll think they're stupid, or their question's dumb. But it happens to this day. These guys are running around talking to their buddies because they don't want to divulge what they do and don't know. So yeah, the woman can be being a woman is a hindrance in some cases, because
Hmm.
they don't want to let it out the bag what they don't know. They want to be in the know-it-all.
Hmm.
And the masculine, I got this.
Right, right. I got this. Uh,
Mhm.
Talk to me then about the bidding process or when people come to you as a potential designer contractor. Do you have people that go, "Whoa, I didn't even know that there was a female-led contracting
Oh
company"?
yeah.
And talk me through that. What are the reactions and things that people say and experience?
Every day I get this, "Oh, I didn't know you were a designer too. Oh, I didn't know you were a contractor too." Because every time I meet new people, they assume, because I've long hair and the pretty girl, oh, must be a designer or she's an architect, but they don't assume you're the contractor too. So I actually have to explain it quite a bit, because the more I'm known in Orange County, so everybody kind of knows that I'm all three. But the when I get out there in the world, they assume that I've got some guy doing it, and I took the license, the test, and got the license. I am the contractor. So it kills me that I still have to explain that, because people assume. So
Hmm. And how do you handle that when they assume you, what do you say to them? How do you present yourself in that moment?
I said, let me just repeat, it's right there on my website. I am the designer and the contractor, and I went to college for architecture design and landscape design and all these things. And then I became a licensed contractor, and I actually personally draw the plans and I personally run your job. And there's no man under me doing this. So I have to kind of say it like that. And then they go, oh, okay, oh, I get it. And then it might not sink in. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries, but I just calmly explain it and laugh because it is hard to comprehend because no one else does it. So I don't fit into a box. So it's weird because I'm one of a kind and I don't fit into a box. So it's funny, and every person assumes a little differently. So it's funny. Mm.
Hmm. Well, it sounds like you're quite patient with people and helping them get that into their brain. So,
Yeah, I don't I take it as a compliment that they're interested, and I like correcting them because it helps all of us if they actually know, and I go out of my way to help them understand because when they see my contracts, oh my God, then there's a whole nother thing. Oh, yeah, because I got to get them through 17 pages of legal documents that describe all this too. So it's a process, but if they don't understand it by the time they get to the contract, I just say goodbye.
mm.
Yeah.
So how could the design, architecture, and particularly the construction, the contracting part of the industry, um, how could the industry play more of a role in recruiting and retaining women?
I think if you offer some training, or I was thinking of starting a foundation to offer education opportunities to get women qualified or interested in construction management, because it just something to prompt them to think of that direction and then direct them to other companies that are doing it. There's a company in Iowa that's actually hiring women and training women, and I believe it's called the Pink Hat, and like in Pink Hard Hat. So it'd be good if people offered opportunities of education so they didn't have to go out to school, and just train them, offer on-site training because you got to learn. You can't start green, and no one hires you when you're green, right? So if they offer training and train you for your position, that would be a brilliant way to do it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And how do you see that women can play a role in raising up other women in the industry?
Oh, well, get out there and do it and spread the word that it's possible. Like me, I tell everyone, I'm proof it can be done. I did it, but you have to give them encouragement and uplift them and give them resources and share with them other women that are doing it. Because there's more and more female architects, of course, and there's more and more female engineers, structural engineers, civil engineers. There's more and more of that females in the business over the last 30 years, thankfully. But construction's still tricky because it's like, where do I fit in? I mean, I don't want to, be a plumber or a carpenter, but there's ladies on the internet that drive trains and cranes. I mean, they're crane operators, and but project management, construction management, because then you can work anywhere, including with
Mhm.
homeowners. Hmm.
Mhm. So let's just say that a woman is listening, she's interested in getting into construction in some way. What would be your advice to her? I've heard you say get into construction management, get into project management,
Hmm.
but so she's heading down that road. What is your advice or wisdom that you'd want to share with her today?
Well, look at project management, which is in construction management, because usually you have to work for a design firm, an architectural firm, to get that experience, and you're in the design arena. But if you're working for a contractor, you're going to work with all the architects and the city and the engineers during the project management process. So you learn the whole scope when you work for a construction company. And the big construction companies, the multi-million dollar commercial ones, is a great place to start because there's more opportunity. But you can also work for a local contractor and construction management, because trust me, guys that have small companies struggle with the project management, construction management, paperwork and schedules. Everybody does. Everybody needs help. And it's nice to see women being hired for that position.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for sharing your passion for women in construction today. And excited to see how our conversations continue to unfold.
Yay. I'm so happy to have done this with you today. Thank you.